What's up guys, Ryan here. Welcome back to another tutorial. Thanks for hanging out again. And today we're kind of continuing some questions that I got from last week about rendering and sort of calculating times and render settings. And I won't go too much into specific settings, but I'll show you some tools that I use to help calculate render times, whether I have 5 hours or 1 hour and I need to get some stuff out for a client to see or to render overnight. And just some of the tools I use to get some of those renders to the highest quality I can in the amount of time that I have. So let's go ahead and jump over into this project I have open. So here's my project file from the intro that you've seen on the YouTube channel, if you've ever watched it. And yeah, so this is basically made an Octane render just because I like how fast it is and how easy it is to see sort of what I'm looking with lighting wise and everything that's happening. And so what we're talking about is calculating times and kind of guessing how long your render is going to take. And I'll show you a couple of tools that I really like to use. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to unclick save. And let's just see how long this one frame is. And all we have here is 1920 by 816, 24 frames per second. And let's enable the multi-pass. And inside of Octane render, I think all I have is a depth pass. Oh, so I have a Z depth pass and an ambient occlusion pass. So normally when I'm getting ready to render and I know I'm done with my project and it's ready to kind of get everything going to finalize, I like to render out one frame and all the stuff that I'm doing to kind of calculate and see how long one frame on average is going to take. So let's go ahead. I'm going to up the samples in Octane just a little bit. And let's look at the Octane samples here. So I usually probably go something like 512 or 1024, depending on how complicated the scene is. And let's just kind of frame something up here. And let's see, let's double check. Actually, I might use one of these cameras I have set up so we get our depth of field in there. Cool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to render this single frame. So let's just output the current frame and let's see how long it takes. All right, cool. So we just got done here. Our frame took 1 minute and 7 seconds, and that's because we also have a Z-depth pass and an ambient occlusion pass. So now that, I figure out the time of this one frame, you can take, if you have, let's say, 250 frames times 1 point, kind of, if you want to kind of break it out by how many seconds that is, divide by 60, that's, we can kind of get a time guess by that. But instead of doing it by hand on the calculator here, let me show you this awesome website. It's Simon Reeves, and I'll put a link in the description, but he has a nice little easy time calculator here. So you have two categories here, estimated time and allowable time frame, which is really helpful for when you only have maybe an hour and you have to get something out. So let's use our current example of what we need to do. Let's imagine it's 300 frames. So we're doing, I like to round it up a little bit. So we're doing kind of maybe I'll say 1.5 minutes just to be safe, times 300 frames, one machine goes net rendering. This current animation will take 7 hours, at 300 frames. So that kind of gives you enough headroom to know, okay, if I need a full quality render, I need to at least allow myself 8 hours to get this done if I only have one machine. So let me show you another cool feature that I like to use for rendering. And let's say, we want to get a preview render out and we only have 2 hours. So at 2 hours, we have, let's do 2 hours, 30 minutes. We got to get done before lunch. The client wants to see it. It's 300 frames. We have one machine. We're only allowed to get 30 seconds per frame. So let me show you how to set that up really quick. And let me close this out. What we have in Octane and also the regular cinema settings is you can set allowed time that the renderer is allowed to have on each frame. So if I go into settings here for Octane and I go into my main settings here, I can set a time limit in seconds. And what I might want to do if you have multiple passes is you want to allow for the time of the passes. So if I set in 30 seconds, My main render will go for 30 seconds, and then after 30 seconds, it'll stop however many samples it has, and it'll start doing your passes after that. So I might want to allow, I'll say maybe 20 seconds, and hopefully the passes get done within 10 seconds. So let's go ahead and close that, and let's hit render again and see what the final time frame is. All right, cool. So I did a couple of quick tests, and we're still kind of getting too far past that 20-second limit that we went to. And it's because the ambient occlusion pass in Octane, it's going through all the samples and trying to boost it up, and it's still going through all the passes, and that's kind of killing our time frame of 20 seconds a frame we need to get to our client in a couple of hours. So let me go ahead and in our Octane multipass settings here, I'm going to go ahead and just not enable those. And let's go ahead and let's set this back. Let's look at the calculator real quick. So we're allowed 30 seconds a frame to get on in our 2.5 hour mark. So let's go back here and let's go back to our time, and let's set this just 25 to be safe. And with no passes enabled, I'm going to hit render again. And let's see if we get kind of closer to that 30-second threshold. All right, cool. So here we go. Now we're getting closer to where we wanted. So we have a 30-second threshold. We set it to 25. This first frame to calculate everything took 26 seconds. And how Octane works and a lot of other renders work is once you get the initial data all in the first frame and all the texture and stuff loaded, the sequential frames will be less time. So we're looking good at 26 seconds here. We'll get into that time frame according to the calculator. Now let's get out of Octane and let me show you how to do this in case you don't have something like Octane, but the built-in render in Cinema 4D can also do it. So one of the things we're going to have to be in is the physical render. I'm going to select physical and go to your sampler. And so you kind of have your different modes here: fixed, adaptive, progressive, and there's plenty of tutorials that talk about that. Or if you want me to talk about some of those settings and what I like to do, let me know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this to progressive. And once you kind of twirl the arrow down here, we get some more samples. Now, infinite means it's just going to keep getting better and better and better as it goes on. And it's never going to stop until you stop. So the setting that we're looking for is time limit. And so right here, you have a progressive time limit in minutes. So what we're going to do is, we have 30 seconds. So we're going to do 0.5 for half a minute. And there's our time limit render settings if you just want to do it in regular Cinema 4D. Well, cool. There we go, guys. It's another quick one today, but I have a couple longer 2-part tutorials coming up next week. And I'm also going to do a video answering a bunch of the questions you guys have given me, which, again, I appreciate. I'll answer them as best as I can. And otherwise, subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks again for all the questions about rendering and all that stuff. Keep asking questions. Keep leaving some comments. And yeah, I will see you guys next week in the next tutorial. So have a great Friday. We 3D tracked it. And we have some Z space going on. And it just looks pretty cool. We're going to have our beams follow it no matter where we reposition it.